Hello students of watercolor class. I wanted to make you a quick little warm-up project. It's going to be the measurements for creating earth tones and accents and incorporating wax and salt into your next long project. First, you're just going to be using pencil for the next period of time. All the due dates are listed on the calendar, and also I'll remind you of that in the module. But the first thing you want to do is take out a sheet of your watercolor paper. This project is going to require two pieces, one for the warm-up and one for the long drawing, which I recommend you do first on sketch paper, even though we're not using carbon. You may decide at some point to do a carbon transfer if you're struggling with the drawing and you have to resort to a grid. I hope not, because we're trying to get away from the grid ultimately in drawing and painting. But if that's helpful, we'll use the homemade version with the pencil on the back instead of the carbon, because for this project, no real carbon, because it just makes too dark of a line, and we want to really create volume here. It's a combination project of working from observation of proportions, overlap, sizes, placement, shapes, the usual, and we're going to do really light gesture drawing because the bulk of this is going to be a watercolor painting. I'm going to attach some really gorgeous examples of fruits and vegetable drawings and paintings in watercolor. We're going to be exploring temperatures, and we're going to push the earth tones a little bit further than a lot of those paintings on there. You'll notice a lot of watercolorists online are quite gaudy in their approach to color. We want to really delve into the more subtleties and then build upon those with flecks of accents. So the project is going to be all about combining the two. We're also going to use a little bit of wax and salt, which you don't see much on there either in the project. So this is sort of a warm-up to get you familiar with the earth tones and also practice your even wash. This is all going to be done with a flat brush. So this whole project you could do with a 1-inch or 1.5 inch flat brush. You'll also need some salt from home and a white candle. But I'm going to have us do all that together later because I want you to just focus on your line drawing, and that way you can just use pencil for the first period of time. I'm going to, and you've got a lot of time to draw this as well and select and send me pictures. Okay, let's go ahead and just do the measurements. I'm assuming everybody has a 15 by 20 piece of watercolor paper because that's the one I put on Blick U. You might have the bigger one from the classroom, but if you do, you can just adjust your borders accordingly. But these measurements I'm going to give you are based on a 15 by 20 surface. I'm going to create opportunities here to try more than once to get your earth tones right, and also experiment more with the wax and the salt. So even though we're not going to get out the paint and do this right now, we'll label everything thoroughly so we can either do it together or I'll make another video of it. Just like the first project, our goal is going to be even saturation, super light, but we'll get to that later. But at least today we'll label it all and get it set up so you can move on to your drawing, and then you'll have both papers and pencil and we can move on from there. Alright, so assuming this is a 15 by 20 paper right here, I'm going to have you do, let me see if I can draw where it shows here. And then that'll be your 20 of your paper. And then here, I didn't show it on there, hold on. So weird doing this virtually. And then this across, just so you have a sense of your paper. So it looks like everything's in there right now. This is just the outside. Alright, so here's your 15 by 20 surface. 15 by 20 paper. So lengthwise, what we're going to do, the best way to do this is just do a dotted line down the middle. So it's 10 and 10, because we're going to have two different areas. One is going to be the even washes of earth tones, 3 attempts, and then also we're going to have 4 rectangles on the other half that are going to be 2 attempts each at getting the wax and salt correct. Alright, so let's start with the left side here. in this 15 by 10 area, we're going to do, let's do the one that's a little more complicated. All right, we're going to leave a 1.5 inch border on the top and a 1.5 inch border on the bottom. It can change slightly, but that's just so that we know there's going to be a general border up here. On the top, you can just do a 1 inch border. So 1 inch border on the top, 1.5 on the sides, and this goes clear down to where this is here. So basically you end up with a 10 inch by 15 inch that takes up half the page. In this area we're going to make 3 value scales, and we're going to leave an inch between them. We're going to have 2 inch value scales each, 3 of them. So 3 2-inch areas here with an inch between them. So here's an inch, and leave that one because it touches the dotted line over there. The simple way to say this is you're making 3 2 by 12 value scales on half of a sheet of paper. If you're worried about getting this right, just do it on sketch paper first so you can kind of get a sense of it. So I've created 2 inch, 2 inch, 2 inch value scale, and then vertically it's 12 inch, 12 inch, 12 inch, 12 inch. And there's an inch in between, as well as an inch border over here on the left. The only thing that's a little weird is this distance here is 1.5 inches, give or take. I mean, the whole point is to keep them centered on the page, and it just happens to be for 15 inches, minus 12 is 3. That's why we have 1.5 left there. All right, so we have our 3 value scales. Now we're going to divide each one into 6 sections of 2 by 2. So 2 by 2, 2 by 2, 1 2 3, 1 2 3. I know it doesn't look too even the way I'm doing it, but each one is 2 by 2, 2 by 2, each little square. 2 by 2, 2 by 12, 2 by 12, 2 by 12. If you don't have a ruler, maybe somebody in the garage has like one of those tape measure things. Really anything can work. I've used so many different things as a ruler, but let me know if there's any issue with that. You can also just use the same measurement over and over if it's not exactly. You can sort of estimate. All right, so we have 3 2 by 2 scales. Now down here, we're going to use a 1 inch border throughout here. I'm just doing that so you kind of know that we're going to use an inch here, an inch here, an inch here, all the way around this area. It's easier to start on this corner from this part so that it doesn't touch necessarily, or in case I did it wrong and I can fix it. All right, so here in the corner is 4 by 6. You're going to go up to 4 and over to 6, and then you're going to leave an inch in between these two. So 4 by 6, 4 by 6, 1 inch in between, and then you've got your inches on the end. Now we need 2 more of those, so I'm going to put them next to it here. These are also 4 by 6. Now I'm going to just take a second and double check my measurements, because I've got an inch here, I've got 2 inches there, I've got another inch here, 2 inches here, an inch in between here. I'll just count it all up. And then 2 inches here. So I have 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, and 6 is 9 to here. And that leaves me 11 left over here. So minus 1 and 2, that leaves me 9. And then 4, 8 is 9. 4, 4. We're going to fill these in. So make sure I have enough room. So I've got 1, 5, 6, 10. This is going to bump up right to here. And that's fine. If you happen to get a little tiny little sliver in between, it'll just look better, but this is fine. So this is what we have. We've got 3 value scales, 2 by 12. And then down here we have 4 rectangles, 4 by 6s. If you feel like you don't want it touching, you can just make it like 3 3/4 or something. It's okay with me if they touch though. Alright, so this is going to be our warm-up. What we're going to do is label each square, and you can label it above here in pen. I'm just going to make it big so you can see. You're going to do wax and salt, label those, and then wax and salt, so you're going to do it again underneath. In the wax square, we're going to rub a candle in there later. We'll do it together. And so we're going to write on there wax plus pure color. So you're going to pick from the wheel any pure color. That way when we do this, you'll kind of have more information about it. In that square, it's simply wax plus pure, oh, you can't see that on there anyway. Wax plus pure color from the wheel. The one with the salt, we're going to add mud plus black. You know how we have that brown in the corner of the palette? That's going to be mud, and we're going to do a touch of black, so it's going to be like a dark mud that we're going to use for this process with salt. But once again, like anything in watercolor, I have to demo. I'll do all this. If you try to do this on your own, it's just not going to be good. So this is just another attempt at the same thing. Now over here, these are all the same, but we're going to try it a few different times because everybody always goes too dark, or uneven saturation, or the wrong colors. And again, we're going to demo all that, but in the interim, go ahead and label all 3 of these. The first one is red plus mud. And you want to label it on the side, not like I'm doing, just like a little bit on the side with a pencil, just scroll it in there. The next one is orange plus mud on all of them. We're skipping the tertiaries on this. Okay, yellow plus mud, and the same there. Green plus mud, and same there. Blue plus mud, and the same there. And purple or violet plus mud, and the same there. So those are the measurements. I know I made a huge mess, but I hope it makes sense, and I'll do it again when we do the demo. But this is going to be due along with your drawing, so 2 sheets of paper, and I'll go over about the drawing a little more in a separate presentation. Bye.